What is up, everybody? Eric here from That's Wrestling. Thanks for tuning in tonight. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can get this as a podcast over at that'swrestling.com or all your favorite podcast apps. If you can't find it in one of your podcast apps, shoot me an email to let me know that I need to submit it to that particular application that you like to use. Eric at that'swrestling.com. You can also send comments, questions, feedback to the same place, Eric at that'swrestling.com. I am also still looking for co-hosts, either a regular co-host for AEW or New Japan or for both, or if you just want to be a fill-in if I have a regular co-host and they can't make it or something like that. Shoot me an email, Eric at that'swrestling.com. If you are listening to this on the podcast feed, you can head over to the YouTube channel. It is in the show notes, so you can head over there, subscribe, because I do pretty much all of these live at this point. AEW, I do live on Thursday evening, and then the New Japan stuff, I kind of have to do whenever because New Japan's schedule is not a consistent schedule, so I do it when I can. But as far as AEW, I haven't been, but I plan on sticking to 8 o'clock on Thursday, so the night after, so I can let it digest a little bit before I give my thoughts on AEW Dynamite. So tonight I am going to be talking about New Japan WrestleKingdom, and I will be talking about night one. Tune in tomorrow for Dynamite, and then on Friday I will be doing my review of WrestleKingdom night 2. So this is the second podcast of 4 being released this week because it's been a busy one with New Japan having WrestleKingdom and being such a large show and having it over 2 nights, and quite a lot has happened. So there were some dark matches on the first night. One of the dark matches, which was the Stardom dark match, did not air on New Japan World, so it was only seen by the people who were in the arena, and that is it. That is a little bit of a shame. I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that was. I know there's a little bit of like a cultural thing with having women on the same show as men. It's just kind of a weird thing. But now that Bushi Road owns both Stardom and New Japan, it would be kind of nice to start seeing some women's matches in New Japan. And I think in the end, putting them together would be cool, because I think you would draw a much more Western audience doing that, having some women's matches as well. And I mean, it's Stardom, so they have some excellent female wrestlers, and they would have great matches. So, you know, I have no problem if they did women's matches on New Japan shows, because you know, they have the room, especially considering how many they do so much touring and so many shows per year. It's insane how many shows per year they do. They actually do quite a lot. They just kind of have the schedule of doing, you know, a couple big shows per month, and that's basically it. And then just like a ton of house shows, but those are all put on New Japan World. The vast majority of them are, at least, even if there's no commentary. But they have plenty of content. Anyways, moving on to the main card we go. We have Jushin Thunder Liger having his farewell match number 1. He has one on the second night as well. This match, it was a bunch of legends that I didn't know because I have not been watching New Japan for that long. I only got into it in 2017, so I don't know like any of these people. The only people in the match that I knew were Taguchi, Tiger Mask, and Liger, of course, and those were the only guys I knew. In the end, Liger ends up getting pinned by Taguchi. I mean, it makes sense given how New Japan books stuff that, you know, Liger's going out, he's retiring. It's obviously he's going to be He should, you know, that's how you retire, going out on your back, kind of the old school way. But, I mean, it's Taguchi. It's not like he's a young guy anymore. But he was pretty much the only person in the match other than Tiger Mask that is going to be there tomorrow. You know, they're going to continue to be wrestling. The rest of the people were pretty much retired. So I guess it's the most logical, but it would have been nice to have at least some younger talent in there to have gotten the pin instead. Next up, we have it's just really a grudge match. Sanada, Evil, Bushi, and Shingo Takagi versus Minaru, Sazuki, Zack Sabre Jr., Taichi, and El Desperado. So it's a Sazukigun faction versus an LIJ faction. Really, for the most part, this is just kind of setting up because Zack Sabre Jr. will be facing Sanada in night 2 for the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship. So I think that's the only thing on this match that kind of lines up to anything happening in the future. So it's just kind of, it's, you know, your typical New Japan booking, kind of putting in a multi-man match with two guys who are going to be facing each other, you know, in the near future, in this case, the next night. Zack Sabre Jr. attacks LIJ as he's being announced. Taichi and Shingo Takagi have a really nice exchange in this match. And then Zack Sabre Jr. submits Bushi. And after the match, Zack Sabre Jr. will not let go of the hold. Sanada's the one who actually has to get him off of Zack Sabre Jr. This is a really fast-paced match. It was a relatively short match as well, but it was a very good match for given how much time it was. Everybody got their stuff in. It was just high-speed action the whole time. And then, like I said, Sanada and Zack Sabre Jr. are facing each other for the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship in night 2. So let me get a drink here. Sorry about that. Yoshi-Hashi, Ichii, Toru Yano, and Hirooki Goto from Chaos are going to face a Bullet Club faction of Kenta, Chase Owens, Bad Luck Fale, and Yujiro Takahashi. So, again, this is kind of just like the previous match. The kind of big storyline in this match is going to be Goto and Kenta are meeting for the Never Open Heavyweight Championship, or Never Open Weight, not Heavyweight. Never Open Weight Championship on night 2. So that's really it in there. A good match. Again, very fast-paced, just like the previous match, and Goto pins Takahashi after hitting the GTR, and he will be meeting Kenta the following night. So those are kind of like the matches of the card that aren't overly important. Not anything really of substance happened. Of course, Liger's farewell match, you figure it'd be a little higher up the card or it'd be a little more important. But actually on both nights, Liger's match was actually the first one on the card. So I guess it's better than getting buried in the middle of the card. So it is what it is. Then we move into some more of the... Oh man, I actually wrote down most of this stuff. Let me grab my notes. Hold on. I'm so sorry for everybody watching on the stream because I actually wrote these notes. So it is, let me get my notes rearranged here because I totally forgot and I did not find out until I was in the middle of this particular thing. All right, so we have, I think we are in the right order here. All right, so we have Juice Robinson and David Finley versus Gorillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa from Bullet Club. This is because Finley and Juice won the World Tag Team Tournament, so they are facing GOD for the tag titles. So Finn Juice are standing on the ramp waiting for them. waiting for them to come down the ramp, waiting for God, that is. And they end up meeting in the middle of the ramp and brawl. Juice is given a huge body drop on the ramp, and this actually comes into play the next night. The ref rings the bell before they actually get into the ring, because he's trying to just get them into the ring. So they Guerrillas of Destiny end up working over Finley for a while, and Tongaloa ends up hitting a big move, and he doesn't bother to go for the pin. He just wants to keep inflicting damage onto David Finley. God hit Magic Killer on Finley, and then Juice breaks up the pin there, and then Juice ends up eating a Magic Killer as well. They go for the super power bomb that they like to do off the top rope, and Finley turns it into a Rana. Gato ends up hitting Finley with a kendo stick behind the ref's back, but Finley ends up kicking out after the next move. And then Juice ends up hitting Left Hand of God, and David Finley ends up hitting the acid drop to pick up the win. So your new IWGP tag champions are FinJuice, David Finley, and Juice Robinson. It will be interesting to see where they go from here. Guerrillas of Destiny held those titles for pretty much the entire year, if I am not mistaken. I think they won that. Did they win them at New Year's Dash? Or was it the immediate show? I'm forgetting the first major show after WrestleKingdom. Whatever it is. I think they won it very recently after WrestleKingdom. So, Guerrillas of Destiny, this is going to be the first time without the titles in the past year. So, we'll see how they continue to maneuver. Then we have Jon Moxley versus Lance Archer. This is a Texas death match, or at least that's what they're calling. Really, it's a hardcore match, and the only way to win is either by 10 count or submission. So it's really a last man standing match with the stipulation that you can submit your opponent as well. So Moxley, as soon as he gets down to the ring, he ends up throwing a bunch of chairs into the ring. When Archer comes out, he is already carrying some trash can lids, and he's got some various weaponry. He's also wearing a helmet with spikes all over it. And then they fight on the outside. Finally, they get into the ring. Mox ends up hitting Archer with a kendo stick a bunch of times, and then Moxley gets hit with a kendo stick. Moxley gets hit with chairs, the trash can lid, kendo sticks, and then Archer uses... So Moxley is on the outside, and Archer actually picks up a young lion and throws him off the apron. Like, he choke slams the young lion off the apron onto Moxley, so he uses a young lion as a weapon, throwing him into Moxley. Archer hits Blackout on a bunch of set-up chairs facing each other, and then Moxley ends up answering a 10 count, or I guess it was a 20 count at this point. And he ends up getting in an arm bar, but Archer ends up hitting a suplex to get out of it. Moxley hits Death Rider, but Death Rider on Archer, and he ends up getting into the ring at he ends up getting up at 9. Archer then gets hit with a second Death Rider. He blocks a second Death Rider, and then Archer chokeslams Moxley onto a chair. Moxley's up at 10. Archer uses a plastic bag to suffocate Moxley, and then he goes and gets some tables on the outside. Moxley ends up hitting Death Rider through both of the tables on the outside, and Archer cannot get up for the count, and Moxley is the new U.S. champion. So this was actually a really fun match. I liked how it ended with the Death Rider off the apron through a couple tables on the outside. It looked actually like it really sucked for Archer because his like waist midsection area, when he went through the tables, his midsection basically landed right on top of where the legs are. So they did not give as far as his midsection. So he just took like the full brunt of that steel right into the gut. And that probably did not feel very good. And now Moxley is facing Juice Robinson on night 2 for the U.S. Championship because Moxley has to avenge his loss to Juice Robinson from the G1, which had originally set up their title match that Moxley couldn't make it to at King of Pro Wrestling, I think it was, because of the typhoon and the travel situation. So he couldn't actually make it because of travel issues. And that's why he originally was stripped of the title. And then it was actually Juice Robinson and Lance Archer who were fighting for it. And that's how Lance originally became the U.S. champion. So right after the match, Moxley cuts a really short promo and says that he came to Tokyo and that he's a gambler and he came to either leave with everything or leave with nothing. And that's why he's facing Juice Robinson on night 2 to get rid of that monkey off his back. Next up, we had, which I think after it happened, I didn't think any match was going to end up topping it, but one of them did. This is going to be Ospreay versus Hiromu Takahashi. Wow, this match was amazing. Of course, I mean, it's Hiromu and Will Ospreay. What else is going to happen? These two are two of the best junior heavyweights on the planet, and Will Ospreay had just an amazing 2019, given all of the matches that he had in the G1 and the best of Super Juniors matches that he had. It was just a great year for Will Ospreay, and he's also moved to Japan, so he is currently living there. And right off the bat, there's a bit of back and forth, just kind of feeling each other out. Hiromu ends up hitting a shotgun drop kick off the apron onto Ospreay on the floor, so he is not holding back given his broken neck status that he did have that is recently healed. He ends up doing a dive and then wow. Oh, okay. So at one point, Will Ospreay ends up doing a flip dive to the outside, lands on his feet, and then he charges back towards Hiromu, who actually like gives him a quick snap belly to belly overhead throw suplex, but that just throws Ospreay back into the ring, which then just rolls to his feet and then ends up hitting the flip dive over the top rope. It was a pretty insane thing. They have a double stomp to the back of the head of Will Ospreay, and then Will Ospreay later on hits Hidden Blade, or at least he goes for Hidden Blade, but Hiromu ends up collapsing. Hiromu blocks a top rope sunset flip, and Hiromu ends up hitting a dynamite plunger. Hiromu blocks the Os cutter, and then Ospreay hit a Made in Japan for a 2 count. Ospreay hits a shooting star press to the back for a 2 count. Hits an Os cutter for a 2 count. Hiromu kicks. Hiromu gets hit with a kick, but Ospreay misses the Hidden Blade. And then power bomb from Hiromu. Hiromu hits a destroyer. And then later on, Will Ospreay hits this massive Hidden Blade. It looked just like he clocked him. So, wow. Hiromu reverses a Stormbreaker into a destroyer, which was insane. Hiromu hits a time bomb, and Will Ospreay kicks out. He kicks out at 2. The crowd is so hot for this. Hiromu ends up hitting this cradle time bomb type of thing, drops Ospreay right on the back of his neck, and he picks up the win. So the new junior heavyweight champion is Hiromu Takahashi, and I am looking forward to seeing what happens for Hiromu this year after having the broken neck, and I'm assuming that he's going to be in Best of Super Juniors, so looking to see what he does with his return after being out for over a year due to a broken neck. Next up, we have Jay White and Tetsuya Naito for the Intercontinental Championship. So the winner of this match is going to go on to night 2 to face the winner of the main event between Okada and Ibushi, and they will be basically doing a double title match. So somebody is going to walk away on night 2 with the IC title and the heavyweight title at the same time. So they will be a double champion. I don't know how they're going to then split that championship back up, but time will tell on that one. Anyways, Naito uses Goto to get White to come into the ring by kind of threatening Goto on the outside. Naito hits a neck breaker from the apron to the floor, and then Goto gets massive heat when he holds Naito's ankles while he's running the ropes. Goto gets so much heat during this match, and the crowd is very much on Naito's side for this. Goto ends up hitting Naito's knee with a chair at one point behind the ref's back. White targets Naito's knee at this point. Every now and again, he does something. He does strikes to the leg. He does various stomps and twists. He hits a dragon screw leg whip when he's stuck in the ropes. Eventually, Naito's knee at one point buckles when he gets thrown towards the ropes in an Irish whip from Jay White. He just collapses. White hits a Saito suplex over the top rope onto the apron. Naito lands neck first right on the edge of the ring. God, this guy needs to stop landing on his neck so much. White ends up hitting a brainbuster and a Kiwi crusher for a 2 count. White works over the knee more and more, puts on an inverted figure 4, but Naito manages to get out to the ropes. Goto ends up creating a distraction, but it doesn't end up working out. Naito ends up hitting Gloria on Jay White. White then avoids a couple Destino attempts, and he ends up getting cut off at one point. White hits a Naito over the head with a chair while the ref is being distracted by Goto. And then while the ref is still out of it, he hits Naito ends up hitting a Destino. Both men are slow to get up, so there was no pin count. Naito hits a Poison Rana, and then the Destino. Jay White kicks out. The crowd is so hot at this point. They are loud. Naito hits a Brainbuster, then the Destino, and then he gets the 3. So Naito is now the new Intercontinental Champion, and he will be facing the winner of Okada Ibushi on night 2. This was an awesome match, but it did not outdo Will Ospreay versus Hiromu Takahashi, but the next match definitely did. After seeing, I had no idea how they were going to follow up, but Naito and White were very good. Hiromu and Ospreay were very good. And then Okada versus Ibushi was just insanely awesome. And I was a huge fan of this match. It was a very, very good match. I didn't know how they were going to be able to top it, but they end up going almost 40 minutes. They go 39-10, I believe it was. And really, the match starts out really nice and slow. They're kind of feeling out each other. Slow pace. And then Okada attempts a Rainmaker right off, but of course he gets out of it. Ibushi goes for a backflip kick and ends up landing really high on his head. Ibushi hits a bastard driver, and then he can't make the cover, hits a double stomp, hits the golden triangle, and then hits a last ride for a 2 count on Okada. Ibushi goes for a Bomaye, but he ends up eating a drop kick instead. And then Okada picks him up and gives him a tombstone. Ibushi has some labored breathing during this match. I'm not sure if it was real or if he is just selling really well. As the match went on, though, I think it kind of went away. So I think it was deliberate selling on the kind of exasperated breathing that he was kind of doing, the labored breathing. So I'm pretty sure he was just selling it, because later on in the match, I think it kind of disappeared. Ibushi no-sells some strikes, and he pops back up from a shotgun drop kick like right away. So he's starting to kind of go into a robot mode here. And then Ibushi is beating on Okada. Like I said, he's gone kind of robotic. He's just showing no emotion. He is just hitting him with kicks in the corner, and he's like ignoring the ref, hitting him with closed fists, ignoring the ref. He gets a few little boos out of this because he was just like not letting up, and he's very much breaking the rules on a lot of these strikes. Later on, Okada ends up hitting a tombstone on the apron, and Ibushi answers a 20 count at 19, and then immediately Okada goes for the cradle neck breaker that he likes to do, and he then hits the heavy rain for a 2 count. We've not seen that move in quite a while from Okada. Then there's a wicked high-angle German suplex. Ibushi lands way high, and then he manages to reverse out of a Rainmaker. He ends up hitting a huge lariat of his own, so he kind of reverses a Rainmaker into a Rainmaker, if you will. And then Ibushi does a deadlift from the outside in suplex over the top rope on Okada. Okada ends up hitting another tombstone here, and then Okada goes for a Rainmaker, but Ibushi ends up hitting a lariat instead again. Goes for a Bomaye for a 1 count. He gets a 1 count after a Bomaye. Then he does a high kick, Kamagoye, and a 2 count. The crowd is going crazy at this point. Goes for another Kamagoye, but Okada pops right up with a standing drop kick. Basically, it was from a kneeling to a drop kick. He was very fast on it. And then the two of them are on their knees. They have a kneeling striking exchange that eventually makes it up to their feet. Ibushi hits this vicious head kick to a kneeling Okada. Okada goes for a top rope Mitchell drop kick, but Ibushi counters it into a power bomb. Okada hits 2 Rainmakers, and Ibushi kicks out. Okada hits a 3rd Rainmaker and a 4th Rainmaker, and Ibushi ducks a 5th Rainmaker. He hits a V-trigger. Okada hits another Rainmaker and picks up the pin. So the final sequence was pretty crazy, with Okada hitting 2 Rainmakers, Ibushi kicking out, Okada hitting a 3rd and a 4th Rainmaker, Ibushi ducking the 5th. Ibushi ends up hitting the V-trigger, but it does not slow down Okada. He hits a 5th Rainmaker, and he gets the pin at 39-10, I believe it was. So Okada retains the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and he will be facing Tetsuya Naito on night 2 to basically become the first double champion in New Japan history. After the match, Naito comes down to the ring. He cuts a very quick promo saying that he's going to be the one to win tomorrow. Then he leaves. Okada thanks the crowd, thanks Ibushi, says that he doesn't care what Naito wants or thinks, that he's going to be the one to walk out of night 2 with both of the championships. So, all in all, night 1 was very good. I am a huge fan of WrestleKingdom in general. I think the main card was about 4.5 hours, but just like the past, I've watched the past 3 WrestleKingdoms in pretty much like one sitting each time, and it does not feel like a mind-numbing slog to watch these shows. Though it does help because now they've kind of split it up into 2 nights, so it's not like one like 7-hour event like previous years. Now it's, you know, like 2, 4, 4.5 hour events, so it's not as bad, and those hours just fly by because of the excellent quality of the wrestling. And they're wrapping up all these storylines from over the year, and we will see what it brings into the new year. And then, of course, New Year's Dash is kind of the show right after WrestleKingdom, the night after the final night, where they kind of set up where they're going to be going for the next year. So I'm looking forward to watching that. I have not watched that. I've watched Night 2, but I have not watched New Year's Dash just yet. So all in all, this was an excellent Wrestle Kingdom. I mean, it's Wrestle Kingdom from New Japan. What's not to like about it? And the last 3 matches, Ospreay versus Hiromu Takahashi, White versus Naito, and Okada versus Ibushi, were all excellent. I think all White versus Naito might have been 4 3/4 stars, but Okada and Bushi are going to be over 5 stars, I bet. I haven't looked at his ratings if Meltzer has put him out. Ospreay versus Hiromu, that's going to be 5 stars at least as well. So if you haven't watched it and you're curious, I would definitely check out Night 1 of Wrestle Kingdom 14, and for that matter, Night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom 14, because there were amazing matches on this show like there has been for the past few years. So can't go wrong with that. So thanks for listening to my review of Night 1. Excellent match of Wrestle Kingdom 14 from 2020. So they were a little off on starting the Wrestle Kingdoms. So if you would like to become a co-host of the show, be sure you can shoot me an email, eric@thatswrestling.com. If you'd like to be a co-host just for New Japan or just for AEW, or you want to do both, or you just want to be in as a fill-in, shoot me an email, eric@thatswrestling.com. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, mailbag questions, anything like that, shoot me an email, eric@thatswrestling.com. I will have one mailbag question that I know of so far for the AEW review tomorrow. And also be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't. If you would like this as a podcast and you're watching it on YouTube, you can head over to thatswrestling.com or search your favorite podcast app for That's Wrestling, and you should be able to find it without much problem. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow night for the AEW Dynamite review for what is actually going to be on tonight, which actually started 2 minutes ago. So now I have to go and catch up. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you next time on That's Wrestling. See you later, guys.